Okay, we are now live.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's webinar. The topic of discussion today is the NAPSA Act No. 1 of 2023, which allows for partial withdrawals. My name is Monde Kanyanga. I'll be your host for this afternoon. Before we begin the webinar, allow me to just call upon Mr. Moffat Nyirenda, who is the president of Zambia Institute of Human Resource Management, to just give us his welcome remarks. Mr. Nyirenda, over to you.
Thank you so much, Councillor Monde, our moderator for this afternoon. Colleagues, I'm joining this call on the way to Kitwe, but allow me to first and foremost recognize our Acting Permanent Secretary for Ministry of Labour, Mr. Zakaria Luhanga. I also recognize past President Rodney Chisala, who is one of the discussants this afternoon. Allow me also to recognize our Senior Management Representative from NAPSA, Mr. Sinyangwe Kefas. Allow me to recognize the council members of the 14th Council of Zirium. Let me simply say, all protocol observed. Colleagues, I know that we've been waiting for some time. I want to start by apologizing for the delay in starting this webinar, but we felt it's very important that we go ahead and conduct this webinar. This webinar with the title of NAPSA Act No. 1 of 2023, partial withdrawal. It has brought a lot of excitement across the country. And as HR practitioners, yes, we celebrate, but we must not forget our role in this whole process. So we felt we should invite the experts, they speak to us, and then we can apply ourselves in terms of how does HR come in and support employees in the workplace and senior management in the workplace. Also, this also borders on procedures that you have in the workplace. So we will hear more from the presenters, but allow me to thank Councillor Monde and other people that have made this webinar possible this afternoon. So warm welcome to everyone. Thank you so much. Councillor Monde, over to you.
Thank you very much, President, for the warm remarks. Indeed, apologies for starting a little bit late, but we are ready to start the business of the day. So before we start, allow me to just welcome our panelists. On the panel today, we have Mr. Luhanga, Zakaria Luhanga, who is the Acting Permanent Secretary from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. Mr. Luhanga, good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon, Madam Moderator, and good afternoon, all the participants.
Thank you very much. Our second discussant is Mr. Kefas Sinyangwe. He's Head of Corporate Affairs at NAPSA. Mr. Sinyangwe, good afternoon and welcome.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Madam Moderator, and good afternoon, dear participants.
Thank you very much. Our last discussant is our past president, Mr. Andrew Chisala. Mr. Andrew Chisala, good afternoon and welcome. Mr. Chisala, kindly unmute. We were not able to get you, please. Good afternoon to you. Okay. So we move to the discussion of the day. We'll start with you, Mr. Luhanga. As a ministry that is responsible of social security, kindly take us through the background as to where we are coming from. I believe you are the initiators of the change that we are seeing today. So just take us through what the ministry has been intending to see with this change that has come up. Give us the background, where we are coming from, where we are and where we are going. Mr. Zakaria, over to you.
Good. Once again, moderator, allow me to also recognize the presence of the president of ZREM, Moffat Nyirenda, and my fellow panelists. For us as a ministry, we are very happy, ZREM, that you came up with this initiative, especially now. Go wherever you want to go, they are queues. People are busy trying to get what is due to them. So we feel it could not have come at any better time than now. And I can see our participants, the number is quite encouraging. So we hope whatever we share in here, you will help us to disseminate this information. So like you have rightly put it, us at the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, we work together with the NAPSA. We drove this process. And I want to share, to give highlights of the background to where we are today. Dear colleagues, you may wish to note that the UPND government, party, before it formed government, it came out very clear to say when we form government, this is what we do. So on one hand, the party had made that promise to the Zambian workers. On the other hand, which is also very important, the workers themselves, they needed this. So after forming government, of course, the process started because this needed to be done. Now, for the sake of some of the people who may not know, first and foremost, we are aware that the National Pension Scheme Authority was established through the enactment of the National Pension Act No. 40 of 1996 and became operational on 1st February in the year 2000. Then NAPSA replaced the defunct Zambia National Provident Fund, especially those, some of our colleagues who are old, they were part of this. And its mandate is to provide protection against contingencies such as invalidity, death, and retirement. To undertake its mandate, NAPSA collects contributions from and invests the said contributions to pay a meaningful benefit. And that's what is very important, because now we do get some people who are excited. We need to look at you put in, what you put in, and NAPSA adds something, then that's your entitlement. Now, like I said earlier on, one of the key government policy pronouncements on pensions was to provide for the partial withdrawal, because many of the people were only able to access after they are 10, 55 years old. But the UPND government said we need to do this, and His Excellency the President, this pronouncement was reaffirmed during the President's inaugural address to the Parliament and during the 2022 budget speech presentation. So it came out very clearly. Now, with regards to the process, what did we do? First and foremost, dear colleagues, you may wish to note that the ministry and NAPSA never did this on its own. We had to engage our social partners. And these social partners, we are talking about Zambia Congress of Trade Unions, Zambia Federation of Employers, the academia, civil society, to mention but a few. Now, prior to that, how did we arrive at this one, the 20%? There were options, 8 of them, 8 options, and I will not waste your time to talk about these options. But I just want to say we had 8 options. Some of the options included giving people loans, but giving people loans is not what people wanted. That's not what government wanted. Give them from part of their pension. So this is why the other options, I will not even talk about them. But what we settled for as government to answer, one, what was promised by the UPND in opposition, and also to answer what the workers want. This is how that option of saying the partial should be, let them access. So moderator, I thought that one is very important. I've talked about the stakeholders whom we worked with, and also the decision, that this decision was not just by the Minister of Labor, nor just NAPSA, no, it was a collective responsibility. And this is why today you can hear people from the union, from the employers, they are all saying, yes, this is what we said, this is what we wanted. Now, very critical, moderator and the dear participants, the issue to do with 20%. Why 20% and not 50%? That's what people are saying. Why 20% and not what people wish? Allow me, moderator, to just say this. First and foremost, 20% was not just arrived at. Yes, if we wanted, we would have given a threshold of 50%. So the 20% basically was arrived at looking at two major reasons. Number one, to cushion the members from receiving meager benefits at retirement. So remember, 20%, you still have 80% to make sure that even when you retire, you should have something. The second one, also very important, was to moderate the financial outflows from the scheme. You know, NAPSA, whether we like it or not, it's one of the giants in terms of helping and also sponsoring. So if we said, okay, let me give a percentage which was higher than what perhaps has been given, of course, we are going to have serious challenges, the financial sector and the like. Already right now, people are saying, you heard yesterday, one of our managers in Southern Province was appealing to people, don't panic. This money won't end. And for sure, I want to retaliate that position. People should not panic because projections were already done. For instance, this year in 2023, we expect 104,693 beneficiaries only. You see? Then next year, we have the numbers all the way up to 2027. So those who, of course, Mr. Sinyango will be able to highlight to the eligibility. But I just wanted to state that this thing was well looked at in terms of focus and also based on the curious studies. It was not just like waking up and coming up with decisions. No, we also had to ensure that this scheme should stand the test of time, even if people are getting what is due to them. So basically, the intention of government, you can see, even now, get 20%, use it. And what the message from us is use it for the intended purpose. And I was very happy yesterday, I was reading the newspaper. Someone said, from what I got, I was able to buy a plot. You can imagine, that plot would have been bought maybe a few years from now. The value have been higher than what this person has bought it for now. That's why I'm very excited. Even our colleagues, the HRs, they should be able to hear, of course, from one of the panelists. So I get so excited, moderator, if we start talking about this, because now we are coming out to the public. We are doing all these NAPS ourselves and other stakeholders behind closed doors. But now we can come out and say, wow, this is what we wanted to do. So allow me maybe at this point in time to end here. Thank you, moderator.
Thank you very much, Mr. Luhanga, for that detail. Indeed, it is very comforting to hear that this came from the people and that indeed the stakeholders were gathered together and they came up with this initiative. We can see from the cues that indeed this is a welcome move to so many citizens. Thank you very much, Mr. Luhanga. At this point in time, we'll just move to you, Mr. Sinyangwe. So coming from NAPSA, what we want to hear from you is, what is this amended act? What is it all about? Who is eligible to access the funds? And what is the process that is involved in accessing these funds? Mr. Sinyangwe, over to you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Moderator. Good afternoon, Mr. President and dear participants. It's my pleasure and honor actually to be able to speak to you and just highlight some of the key things relating to this NPS Amendment Act. Actually, it's Act number 2. It was Bill number 1, but by the time it was being signed into an act, it had already become number 2. So I think I just needed to clarify that. But having said that, very important to understand the criteria because it has been a point of discussion at the main fora and radio programs, and it's important that we clarify that. First of all, the PS has spoken to the fact that first, your entitlement is 20%. Now, what does this 20% constitute? First of all, it's 20% of your total contributions as they sit on the NAPSA account at the point of claiming. So you may have worked longer, you may have many contributions based on the period that you've worked, but maybe some employers have not been contributing. So the 20% will only be applied on what is already sitting, the money that has been collected. And then that 20% will be indexed, or in simple terms, interest will be added, and you will now be entitled to a larger amount than what you see on your account. For argument's sake, if your total contributions are 100,000 kwacha, 20% of 100,000 kwacha is 20,000, but 20,000 kwacha is not what you get. You get much more than that because of the indexation and interest that is added to your money. I know some people have been asking about the formula. What formula are you using? We can't throw out a formula to you to say use XY squared plus 1 or minus 2, because this is dependent on each and every particular individual, and the level of contributions dependent also on how long the funds have been sitting with us, during which period the funds were contributed. So you may actually be sitting with a friend who has 100,000 kwacha, and you have 100,000 kwacha, you claim your 20%, they claim their 20%, and you find the amounts that you are entitled to are different. It's not because there's a problem, but that's just how the system works. I thought I needed to explain that. And then the key issue of eligibility. So the law specifically states that for one to qualify, they should have 60 contributions minimum. When you have 60 contributions, it doesn't matter what age, but that should be before you reach retirement age. So if you've reached retirement age, or indeed you are on a pension already, or you have claimed your lump sum, or you have claimed the survivor's benefit or something like that, this then does not apply to you. It's very important to understand that aspect, that it's only applicable to members who have not claimed. They haven't yet reached retirement age, and one, they are either 60 contributions and above, or not and, because the and is what brought about controversy. Not and, but or 45 years. So if you have 45 years and above, it doesn't matter the number of contributions that you have. You may have 20 or 30. You can still get your 20% of what is sitting on that account. But if you are younger than 45, you need to have 60 contributions and above. I think that criteria is important to understand. Then the other group of people that the law doesn't apply to are those that belong to the informal sector, who have their own sub-scheme under NAPSA, and they have their own short-term benefits. You may wish to know that this is probably the first benefit that has been introduced under the NAPSA main scheme. However, those that are contributing under the informal sector sub-scheme, they have their own short-term benefits. How often can someone get this 20%? It's one-off. One-off meaning that when you get it, that's it. You can't come and get it again before retirement or after retirement. Once you get it, it's once off. But it's very important to understand that this 20% is not mandatory. Not mandatory in that if you don't wish to take this money today, you may choose not to take it. If you want, you may take it next year, you may take it after 2 years, or indeed after 5 years, or whichever period that you decide. The benefit has come to stay, okay? Now, there is one important aspect that members may want to know, that first of all, when you need to sign up, because this benefit will only be administered online. There is no filling in of papers or things like that. Even those that are going to the NAPSA offices, probably they are going there for help. but actually the actual signing up and claiming of the benefit is happening online. I know there are questions of internet ability and all that. We'll speak to that. But it's important to note that this benefit can only be accessed online. Now, why is it important for you to know whether to leave it or not? When you sign up and you are able to see the entitlement, because you are able to see even before you claim, you are able to see online how much you are entitled to. You can then choose to say, okay, you need this money today for this and that project. The PS has spoken to the fact that you need to use this money prudently, because remember, when you get the 20%, you are reducing your final entitlement or your future entitlement by 20%, because this is like an advance. So your final entitlement becomes 80% once you claim the 20%. So whether you go on a retirement, or whether it's survivors, whether it's invalidity pension, including the funeral grant, they all reduce by 20% once you've claimed the 20%. So you only be entitled to 80%. So as you decide to claim, you may wish to understand that this has an implication, and so you want to invest monies in a venture that will bring about a value. One important aspect also to note is that this money, a lot of people underrate what value NAPSA adds to it. If you want to see what value NAPSA adds to the money, sign up, go all the way to the claim process, and you are able to even project today if you claim how much you are getting. And if you claim after 2 years, how much you get. Or if you claim after 5 years, how much the money will be. You will be shocked at how much, or by how much the money grows. No financial institution out there can guarantee you that growth. And so if you are planning to do a business, you may choose to say, this business is going to give me more than NAPSA is giving me, so let me get it and invest it there. But if you are planning to do a business that gives you a lesser yield than what NAPSA is giving you, you have an option to actually leave the money there. NAPSA will invest it for you, and at the time that you decide to claim it, you claim much more than you were entitled a few years back. And so this is very important to note. For now, I would want to just indicate that as at yesterday, and it's interesting that we have some people who are questioning whether actually there's anyone receiving the money or not. As at yesterday, we had paid out a total of 97 million kwacha. Remember, we just started on the process on the 17th. As at yesterday, we had already paid out 97 million kwacha to about 2,376 members. We will be issuing out the latest statistics for today. Who knows, they might even double, or they will increase by whatever number, depending on the rate of processing. I just want to point out, Madam Moderator, if you allow me, a few issues that are causing delays, because some members of the public have complained about some delays in the processing of the benefit. First of all, we are talking about thousands and thousands of people signing up to the system. Altogether, we are talking about they will be eligible up to almost 600,000 who are able to sign up. Okay.
For your mics, please. Thank you. You can proceed, Mr. Snyangwi.
Yes. So I was talking about the thousands and thousands of people who are trying to access the system at the same time. Now, the problem might not necessarily be in the system itself. Of course, because of the traffic, the system is affected and the processing power is affected. But we are also getting a lot of issues. Some members are not even able to go beyond the first process of signing up, because among the requirements, and I would like to speak to that, among the requirements is that you must have your phone number, which is registered in your name. Now, registered in your name means registered as your name appears on your NRC. Unfortunately, we have people whose numbers are registered in their spouses, in their children, grandmothers, and everyone else, but not them. So if you try to use that number to sign up, you won't proceed even beyond that status. You just be asked to go and make sure that you register your number properly with your mobile network operator. So the number must appear as it appears on the NRC. That's how it should sit even at the mobile network operator. That's how it should sit with NAPSA. Then beyond that, we are asking people to attach a photocopy of their NRC, scanned photocopy of their NRC. Madam Moderator and members, participants, we have a situation where a person attaches one side of the NRC. Now, the NRC has two sides. So when you are attaching, even when you are asked to submit an NRC at home, you submit both sides, at work rather. So this is what I expect, but some members are submitting, for example, one side, and such an application will be rejected. So we keep on sensitizing people on the need to attach two sides of the NRC. And beyond that, we ask people to submit the 3 security questions. Some people are answering the questions and then they forget the answers. When it comes to the claim process, the claim side of things, they are asked to provide the answers to the questions they provided as a security measure. Some of them are forgetting. And then on the claim side of things, we are asking people to provide their employment history. That is where, again, some issues are happening because some members could have forgotten or mixing up when they started. And so the system is such that the moment data is mixed up, there has to be some form of intervention in the background to make sure that we correct. Because once you enter periods that are not tallying with what is sitting in the system will either record that as contributions that do not belong to you, or you probably did not work for, worked for the period, but maybe the contributions are missing. So you find that we are having a lot of human intervention on issues that should be quickly addressed, and that is slowing down the process. But we have enhanced that by making sure that we bring in more staff. We've employed more staff to assist us with the processes. And also, as we are getting feedback, we are streamlining the system. For example, initially we had put a requirement that you need to provide to update your beneficiary details before you claim because of the outcry, and we thought, okay, let the people get their money, they will be able to update that later. We disabled that function. So you don't need to do that at this stage of claiming. So we are responding to some of the concerns to make sure that we streamline the system and it's efficient and effective for the members. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Sinyangwe. That detail is very appreciated. I think you have tackled a lot of questions that members have been asking from the time this act was amended. We will allow for question and answer session just after all the discussants give in their presentation. So for all our participants, please note that you will be allowed to ask a few questions, and our panelists will be able to answer those questions. Thank you very much, Mr. Sinyangwe. We'll get back to you. We move to you, Mr. Chisala, our past president. From an HR perspective, what is the role of HR in all this change that we are seeing? What are we supposed to be doing in terms of giving advice to our employees? Mr. Sinyangwe has mentioned issues to do with prudence in the way this money will be used. So what role do we play at our places of work? Over to you, Mr. Chisala. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Madam Moderator. Well, like I think Kefas has mentioned, this is law now. The pre-retirement benefit or partial withdrawal of pension is law, so it's here. But what is important to the HR practitioner is that I think it's a heads up to all of us. Pensions administration has a process, and our part, so that we don't get into a situation where our staff or employees go to the scheme and are sent back. Number one, we got to start with the registration of our employees. So this definitely will make a lot of revelations regarding how we've been managing this particular area in our functions. It's going to be a revealer of a lot of things to practitioners. So first and foremost, it's a requirement that we do the registration of employees with the scheme. We must comply, it's law. We must comply, and the registration has its own process, clearly spelled out within the law. Where people are not clear, I think NAPSA has dotted officers all around. They can quickly consult with them. Number two, we've got a role as practitioners to monitor, closely monitor the pension matters for our institutions and for our employees. And the last bit I think about registration is that we required to complete all the registration in the form that the law requires. And some of the hiccups that the scheme may face, including our employees, is that maybe the information is not updated, information is incomplete, it's not consistent. So it's very, very important that our records are accurate and consistent. The second bit is that we're required to make deductions. We don't end there. We make, first of all, the appropriate deductions from employees. And then we must remit these deductions to the scheme. If that does not happen, we're going to have employees that are bouncing back or being sent back because their requests or claims cannot be honored. So remittance, appropriate remittances must be made to the scheme. That's extremely, extremely important. Where there are gaps in the process, I think this will be reviewed through these partial withdrawals. Consistency is also in terms of remittances for our employees will also be reviewed through this process. We must also realize that where we fail either to register or to make deductions or make remittances, there are serious consequences to that effect, both by way of statute, as well as what may come from our employees who do not have these things accessed. The last bit about what's happening now is the kind of information and the way of communicating to employees regarding this. We need to categorize our employees in various groups. We've got our active employees, okay? They need guidance on how to access this contribution. I mean, maybe the contribution statements, as well as how they can access the 20% that is being offered at the moment. We have a responsibility, I think, as HR practitioners to explain the risks that might impact the security of the promised pension benefits. Unless people begin to know now, including the withdrawal that is being made, the partial withdrawal, they must appreciate the implications that it may come with on their future. I think the PS mentioned a bit of this. The reasons why the 20% was appropriate figure and not the 50 or 60%. So people need to know that while they may access part of this, they need to know what then does that mean to their future final pension benefit. I think Kefas has explained, this is not a monthly pension. This is a one-off. When you access it once, you're not going to expect that you're going to access it again until you now get to statutory retirement age. Number two category is the group. Those people that are approaching retirement, should they really access this 20%? If you have 3-4 years to go, should you access this money now? And so on and so forth. And I think NAPSA should be able to also further guide some of these employees regarding that bit. So those who are retiring retirement, we need to guide them on the status of their contributions, and then do they have the understanding in terms of financial literacy as regards what they need to do with the money. We must also know as HR practitioners the different age groups within our institutions. To some, depending on their age category, it's an excitement. They want to get it now and use it. To others, they see it as inappropriate because maybe of the value and so on and so forth. So we need to know the kind of information to give to each group within our establishments. Also, we also know that within our establishments, we've got the management category, we've got those that are represented. These two groups also require that they get information that is appropriate to them, information that they can properly use to make decisions. But over and above these pieces of advice, I think as HR practitioners, we may need to invest a little more in terms of literacy, financial literacy to our people. Money will come, money will be accessed as NAPSA is ready to give it out, but for what purpose? Let's get back to PSC's indication that I think there was a reason, there was a purpose why government made the decision that they've made, okay? Will this money serve the purpose that is intended from the issue? Number two, people need to be very clear about the qualifications for you to access the 20%. This must be explained again, depending on the category of people that you're dealing with. The third aspect is the procedure. I think KFAS has clearly explained that the procedures, everything is online. And sometimes within our business units, within HR, I think people want to come and get this kind of service. I think let's see how best we can assist them. The last bit, Madam Moderator, is utilization of the funds being withdrawn now. Okay? People will cry foul and call the law very bad because they did not get the kind of advice or financial literacy that they needed at the moment. So what may cause delays besides what Mr. Sinyangwe actually mentioned are the kind of processes and records that we're keeping and the information that the returns that we're making to NAPSA. All these things may also contribute. And I think, I'm not sure about the story that I was reading, that the entire institution were sent back because the company had not been remitting and so on and so forth. That should not be our experience as practitioners. So basically, let's make sure that employees are registered, deductions are being made, appropriate ones and correct ones, remittances are being made, and the information that is sitting with our institutions is the same information that is sitting with NAPSA. So we keep updating this information for and on behalf of the employees. More importantly, financial literacy. I think we need to play our role to that effect. Depending on the category of employee that we're dealing with, please check the age groups, check the category of the employee, and also their level of understanding of the use of money, value and use of money. For now, I think, Moderator, I can keep it here.
Thank you very much. Appreciated, Mr. Chisala. Just a few takeaways from what you have spoken about. Number one, we have to ensure that the employee records are accurate, the ones that are sitting on our payroll and the ones that we send to NAPSA. We have to ensure that all new employees are registered because eventually after they work for 5 years, they would want to make these claims. And then to ensure that we educate members of staff in terms of financial prudence in terms of managing finances, because once they access these funds, they will not be able to access the other 20%. At the end of their work life, they'll only be able to access the 80%. So thank you very much, Mr. Chisala, for that. Now we'll open it up to question and answer session from our participants. We have a first question. Our first question comes from the attendee has not given us their name. They're saying anonymous. So the question reads: so far, we have seen a number of people we work with facing challenges accessing funds despite the NAPSA system indicating paid. So for this one, Mr. Sinyangwe, I don't know whether I could read a few questions or you'll be able to answer them as I read one by one. Kindly indicate that to me, Mr. Sinyangwe.
I don't know what you're comfortable with. I'm good with what you're comfortable with.
Okay, I think we can deal with one question at a time.
Moderator,
so with this one,
moderator.
Good afternoon, PS.
Yes, I want to seek your indulgence that I log out. There's a matter that I need to attend to. So okay. If there was anyone who wanted to specifically ask me, I thought I could ask, but since Mr. Sinyango is there and very able to, was most of the issues are more operational, and NAPSA is equal to the task. From our side, policy issues quite very clearly, and I want to thank my dear colleagues who have ably buttressed the points why government made that decision and appealing to the people to put the money to good use and the like. So I just wanted not to be seen as if I've absconded. There's a meeting people are waiting for me for. You know, we are preparing for Labor Day and the like. Sure.
Well noted, PS. Thank you very much for your participation. We also thank you for the time that you have spared to come and talk to us today. Well appreciated. We can excuse you for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, thank you. We proceed with you, Mr. Sinyangwe. The first question is coming from an attendee who says they are anonymous. They haven't given their name. They're saying that so far we have seen a number of people we work with facing challenges accessing the funds despite the NAPSA system indicating paid. Do you have any response to our participants, Mr. Sinyangwe?
Okay, thank you very much. I wish I could understand where that paid is sitting, whether it's after claiming or it's on the contributions part, because there are two aspects. And in fact, there are three aspects here I need to mention. And first of all, maybe before I even go to that, I want to thank Mr. Chisala. And just want to re-echo one point. I think the HR fraternity has a very, very important role to play in educating employees on their rights and obligations. Today, when you look at the level of information, of knowledge about NAPSA among employees, it's not very good. It's not very good because there hasn't really been a deliberate kind of arrangement where employees educate their members, their employees on the issue of pension and specifically on NAPSA. In other countries, don't play with pension. Anything relating to pension is an issue of life and death. In Zambia, pension is a matter for the aged. When somebody is getting retired, that's when they now start thinking, oh, I'm supposed to go to NAPSA. They don't even know how many contributions they have. They don't know whether they will be on a monthly pension or on a one-off lump sum. They say, I'm going to buy a tractor and go and settle at a farm when I get my pension. And then they become depressed when they come to NAPSA and NAPSA tells them that they will be on a monthly pension. This is all because of lack of information. Now, as NAPSA, we are trying our best to make sure that we work with institutions. We've spoken to the HR fraternity a few times. We basically partners and a lot of other institutions. But I think we need to take this a little further. For us, HR practitioners are the entry point into the social security system. As a person is entering a job market, then you are the first contact. As the people are signing up, you tell them the importance of registering with NAPSA and the importance of contributing and why and all the things that they need. They will take an interest and they will make sure that they don't come and cry when they need to access their funds and find that their employer was not remitting. I think that will be a serious indictment on the HR profession. So I just wanted to re-emphasize that point. If we did a lot of work on the other side, I think most of the complaints that we are receiving from members, we will not be receiving them because most of them have to do with missing contributions, have to do with wrong information and a lot of other such things. Now, coming back to the point here, there are people who have actually been saying that when I check on NAPSA, because the NAPSA has been there and some people have been there already, and even those that sign up, they check, you find maybe you have 120 contributions. When you go to the claim side of things, as you are claiming, you find that the system computes that you have 90 contributions. So what is happening sometimes is that there have been times when employers will remit will submit their returns. So the returns are recorded on the part of the system, but this system is pulling the contributions that have been paid for. So sometimes employers could have done their return just as well, but then they have not actually paid for certain contributions. So they are basically unpaid contributions. So those are some of the things that are happening. So this question, if it relates to that, that would be the explanation. You find that certain contributions would be seen as if they were paid, but they were actually, you are just looking at the return. The system at claiming point is actually looking at what is sitting on the account. However, if this paid you are talking about, you have signed up, you have done everything, and you've done the claim process, and the system has given you a message that you have successfully claimed, now you are waiting for your money. This process is a very fast process. However, I need to mention that we are working with the banks. The banks have got their own internal processes in terms of remittances of funds or from one bank to the other. So from our perspective, we would be considering the amount paid, but there is also, just now, even in our normal business transactions, you find you have transferred money to someone today, and they're telling you, my friend, I haven't yet received the money that you've transferred, although there is actually even a proof of transfer. So but those delays are not really very much. And that's why we are saying, as at yesterday, we had paid out 97 million kwacha. And we will be issuing other statistics as we close the day. So if there are any delays, once you have finished the process, it could be as a result of those interbank transfers and things like that. Thank you. Sorry, your mic is mute.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Sinyangwe. I wanted to just appreciate what you have mentioned, and also following what Mr. Chisala just spoke about, to say that really HR has a role to play in terms of ensuring that the records are accurate, so that it makes it easy for people to access these benefits. Then to our participants, we'll not be able to go through all the questions. There are so many, we have about 24 questions. So we'll just quickly go through a few of them before we close. We have a question from Dexter Kaluba. He's saying that this is an excellent explanation, I think, coming from your presentation, Mr. Sinyangwe. He says that why didn't you outline this information in a brochure before you started paying out? He says it would have helped beneficiaries to make an informed decision. Okay, I don't know if you would like to attend to that one. There's one that I saw, again, from the same Dexter Kaluba, sorry. He says that, Mr. Sinyangwe, whoever may be responsible, doesn't the pension scheme risk going into cash flow challenges in 2 to 3 years after you've withdrawn the 11 billion, since NAPSA is not designed to pay such amounts? So with this one, I would like you to just respond to it. He has raised 2 questions, the brochure and also the issue of NAPSA running out of cash challenges, because we'll be paying out about 11 billion. Thank you, Mr. Sinyangwe. You can attend to the question. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Before the law came into being, we didn't have the mandate to start talking about the contents of the law, because we didn't have the law. But members of the public had the opportunity to follow through the deliberations in Parliament. This law went through 3 stages of 3 readings in Parliament. First reading, and then it went to the committee, where it was dissected, and even the questions about sustainability and all those things were discussed at that stage, and a lot of questions asked. And this is where we would like to encourage Zambians to pay attention to these things that are being debated in Parliament. By the way, all those debates were live, or if recorded, they were on Parliament radio. So that's the route that was taken in terms of disseminating information at that stage from Parliament, through Parliament radio, which was the authoritative voice. But once the law came into being, when you go to our website, remember we are saying this is online. When you go to our website, all this information is there, even on our Facebook page, on our social media platforms, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, all this information is there. We have all our stations equipped with all this information to disseminate through our local radio stations to the public. So yes, we will intensify the dissemination of this information, but nothing stops an HR practitioner from engaging us to say, can you give us a presentation? Summary presentation, which can easily be emailed. And by the way, I'll be sharing that presentation with you, very summary presentation on what this is about. So that can be used to also educate employees within the various institutions where we are coming from, so that they are knowledgeable about what this pre-retirement benefit is. So we are open to such kind of engagement where an institution feels like they don't have the right information to communicate to the staff. They would want NAPSA to come in. We are open and very, very willing and ready to come and even speak to your employees if you create a platform. And some institutions have done that where they actually invite us, and we would do that at our own cost without transferring any cost to the institution. What you do is just give us your employees, and we'll be able to speak to them. On the issue of sustainability, is the NAPSA not going to go under? Social security is a very scientific field. You don't just wake up and decide to say today I'll introduce this benefit and start paying it, or tomorrow the contributions will be this percent and not that. It is guided by actuarial scientists, and so actuarial scientists have studied, have given us comfort that 20% pre-retirement lump sum benefit is feasible and will not affect the institution. By the way, I need to mention this, that a lot of people in Zambia do not actually understand the huge role that this institution, NAPSA, is playing in the economy. NAPSA is the anchor of the financial institutions. When we say the anchor, it's because we are influencing what is happening on the financial market. You may wish to know that about 20% of the total deposits sitting in the various financial institutions is money that is belonging to the members through NAPSA. And so you can imagine that this is a huge, huge impact that we are making on the financial market. If we mismanage that, definitely the financial market will be rocked, and we do not want such kind of a scenario. So when you see the investments that we have a very, very diversified portfolio of investments into fixed term deposits, into private equity, public equity, into government papers, as treasury bills and government bonds. We're into infrastructure. Some of us, or maybe some of you may not even know, that the solution to load shedding was actually by and large provided by NAPSA by providing a loan to ZESCO to finish up the Kafue Gorge Lower Power Hydro for them to bring on board those 5 turbines. And that's how NAPSA performs. But by providing that money, we are basically growing the members' fund, because for us, that's a loan on which we are earning interest for the member. So how are we going to survive? Yes, we have the resources to be able to pay the estimated 11 billion without being affected at all. Everything has been worked out, and it's understood and it's clear that this is not going to have any negative impact on the fund. By the way, this is an advance. So a member who claims 20%, basically what they're doing is they are reducing the future liabilities of NAPSA, because they are only leaving 80% rather than the 100%. So actually, you are relieving the institution of the future liabilities. by accessing your contributions today. But that is not to say that we are going to relax, because we definitely don't want to have members come and find there is no money to pay them. So you will be seeing us being active in certain asset classes, and probably reducing our appetite in terms of investment in those assets that may not be giving us so much yield, but are taking up a lot of resources. So in terms of financial management, we are making sure that what goes in and what comes out is balancing up. And the part that solution is also coming from the online process that we have implemented. Remember, the employees now required to update their employment history. So those employers who were hiding behind the employee, the NAPSA not knowing where they are sitting, or maybe them having double payrolls or anything of that sort, they are going to be exposed. And all those are going to be followed up, and it will make sure that every employer contributes, makes the contributions that are due to the member, so that the member is not at disadvantage and they get their full entitlement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sinyangwe. There's a number of participants that are asking about the limited banks that you have on the system. So they are kindly requesting that you could add other banks on your system. Please take note of that. Then we have one question. This one, I will address it to Mr. Chisala. There's a member who is asking to say they are experiencing the problem of multiple contributions resulting in changing jobs, mostly in the middle of the month. This is impinging on the claimants from proceeding to the next stage. Please advise the solution to this problem, as it is affecting a lot of people. Mr. Chisala, you can attend to this one quickly.
All right, thank you so much. I guess Mr. Sinyango is even better placed, speaking from the system viewpoint, and how that can be resolved. Multiple contributions and remittances and returns and the actual cash remittance. I think the KFAS are better placed to attend to that.
Yeah, sure, no problem, Mr. Chisala. So first, let me begin by speaking to the issue of the banks. Yes, we don't have all the banks. We have almost 19 banks, and on the platform you find there are few banks. Now, this is where somebody would be saying, but why don't you have all the banks? We invited all the banks to be part. This is an open invitation to all the banks to be part. Some of them have been fast to come on board. Others could have dragged their feet. But you see, this is where competition comes. If a member finds that their bank is taking long to get on the platform, let them go and open another account with another bank which is more proactive, and get on board with that bank to create competition for the other bank, so that we could provide an efficient service to the members. So my call to the banks is, let's get on board quickly so that we can provide service to the customers. But that said, we have two options that the member can use to claim benefits. You can actually as well use the mobile money, and the mobile money limit is about 100,000 kwacha. So far, the highest paid I have seen in terms of the pre-retirement lump sum is just about close to 150,000. So you can see actually that there are a lot of people who are getting quite some good money from this pre-retirement. But if your claim, when you check there, the claim is actually less than 100,000, you can actually use your mobile money to claim your benefits. Then on the aspect of double contributions, so first of all, it's possible that somebody can work for 2 or 3 companies at the same time, and all the companies remit those contributions for the member. So those will be regarded as double contributions in the system, and that will need to be resolved. So if the member worked, all they need is to provide their employment history. When they provide their employment history, whether they are double contributions or they are what we call stray contributions, that maybe the contributions that are not supposed to be sitting with you, but maybe the way the return was done, the contributions are sitting with you. that work is being worked on in the background by dedicated staff. So that situation, whatever it is, the staff will look at the system and look at the database, what is sitting there, and they will be able to throw out, based also on the employment history that you've provided, they will be able to know that these contributions are not belonging to you, or they belong to you. And if they belong to you, you'll be credited and accordingly, and the employment history will be cleaned up and approved to be green, so that you can proceed to claim. So you can imagine that this is an important exercise that needs to be had, so that we don't have this one at the time you are retired and want to claim. It's important that we have this conversation now, and once it is cleaned up, you will see that you are able to proceed to claim. So let's embrace this process, not just as a process to a pre-retirement lump sum benefit, but a process that will now give you a clear picture of where you stand as a member of the scheme, how you sit with your contributions, how compliant were your employers or are your employers, and things like that, so that you have full control now. We are putting this pension in your hands so that you can manage it like your bank account, because this is a savings account where when you retire and you start drawing from it, the money never finishes. You keep drawing and drawing until you die. There's no bank that offers such kind of a savings account. I submit.
Okay, so Mr. Sinyangwe, there was a question where one participant was asking to say that since when somebody makes a partial withdrawal, it will be a lump sum. So upon retirement, are we expecting to get a lump sum, or will you still get our monthly salary as per design of the pension scheme?
All right, thank you very much for that. So yes, the pre-retirement is a lump sum benefit. That's why we are calling it pre-retirement lump sum benefit. That's how even the law calls it, because you get it as a lump sum one-off. And it's one-off. There's even another member who was asking whether you get it again. Like I mentioned, no, you get it once and that's it. Now, what is important here for the members to understand is that you can choose to get this pre-retirement lump sum now, or you can actually delay it and get it just before retirement. Because once you reach retirement age, then you forfeit, according to the law. You forfeit the 20%, you forfeit access to the 20%, you simply access your 100% entitlement. I think I need to be quoted very clearly here. You are not forfeiting the 20%, you are forfeiting access to it once you've reached retirement age. That means you just get 100%. Now, how do we calculate your contributions when you retire for you to either qualify for lump sum or monthly pension? So one thing we look at, when you have reached retirement, you've retired, and you come up to say, I've retired. We look at how many contributions you have. If you have 180 contributions and above, 180 plus 1, you automatically qualify for your monthly pension. Here, there's no conversation of I want to get lump sum, or I want to get to be put on retirement or monthly pension. Here, it's the number of contributions that determine. If you have 180 contributions and above, you automatically qualify. So what will be done is, what is happening at this stage? We'll look at your total contributions. Those total contributions will be indexed, and then we'll calculate using a formula that is prescribed in the Act to calculate how much you are entitled to as a monthly pension. Then you begin to get that your monthly pension for life. And when you die, your spouse, either husband or wife, begins to get that benefit until they die. Okay? Now, in case you have less than 180 contributions, then we give you a one-off lump sum. So you get a one-off lump sum if you have less than 180 contributions. Now, when we talk about the 20%, the 20% is not reducing the number of contributions. If you have 120 contributions today, when you access 20% of your total contributions, we are not talking about the number of contributions. We are talking about the quantums, the money, the amount of money which that number of contribution translates into. So the number of contributions is not being affected. It's not reducing, but what is reducing is the amount that translates into those number of contributions. So that is basically what would happen when you retire. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just one last question to you, Mr. Snyangwe. Another participant is asking to say those that are out of employment, are they able to submit claims, those that have reached the age of 45? For example, if you are not working, but you were working in the past, then you are of the age of 45, are you able to submit the claims, Mr. Snyangwe?
Now, again, that question is speaking about if you are the age of 45. Now, the primary qualification is the number of contributions, 60 contributions. Please, this is very, very important because there are those that are below 45 who have heard that, no, this benefit is for those that are aged above 45 and above. That is not correct. What is correct is that, first of all, what is the primary consideration is the number of contributions. If you have 60 contributions and above, it doesn't matter your age, whether you are 20 or 25 or 30, as long as you have 60 contributions, you can access 20% of the benefits that are sitting on your NAPSA account. The 45 comes in just for those who have less than 60 contributions. So if you have, say, 30 contributions, but you still want to access the 20%, you've got to be aged 45 years and above. I hope that is clear. So this pre-retirement lump sum benefit is not for those aged 45 years and above. It's for those with 60 contributions and above, regardless of the age, as long as they are before the retirement age. But in case you have less than 60, that's when you need to be 45 years and above. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that clarification. So it means that if a person was working for 5 years, they are not in employment, and they can access their benefits. That is what
precisely. Precisely. Yes. You don't actually need to be in active employment today. Yeah. What is important is how many contributions are sitting on your account. Even if you lost your job or you stopped working rather 6 months or even 6 years ago, if you have 60 contributions and above, you have access to 20% of those contributions sitting under NAPSA.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Snyangwe, for your time, and to our participants. I just want to say thank you for attending. We have come to the end of our discussion. We've had so many questions. The consolation is that as we approach our regional summit and AGM, this will be one of the topics. So for those questions that we have not attended to, be rest assured that during our regional summit and AGM, we will have this as a topic. The summit falls on the 17th of May to 19th May 2023 at Avani Resorts in Livingstone. So at this point in time, let me call upon Mr. Chilala, our Registrar and CEO of Zambia Institute of Human Resource Management, to just give his closing remarks on behalf of the President. Mr. Chilala, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Councillor Kanyanga, for hosting us, all of us, on this very wonderful topic. Colleagues, fellow practitioners, and other members from all walks of life, we're so glad that you made it to this meeting. The aim of the Institute was to avoid the speculations so that people should get the truth from the owners who are championing this exercise. And so we simply want to say thank you so much for attending, and please be ambassadors, help the country to take correct information out there so that people do not speculate on what is going on. We need to have the truth from the owners who are running with this program. I can only say, may the good Lord bless all of us as we continue to serve our great nation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chilala. We've come to the end of the discussion. Thank you, Mr. Nyangwe. Thank you, past President, Mr. Chisala, for making time to come and speak to us this afternoon. We are very grateful. To our participants, thank you very much for joining in. Good day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Monday. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.